Hey, this video is going to be a bit different than what I usually do. Um, Kind of like a video I kind of had in the past. This is going to be like an unplanned rant video, kind of like what I did in the beginning, my humble beginnings after I finished talking about butterfly soup. I want to talk about not as much regret, but how you can kind of hold yourself back. You start to hold yourself back from your true potential, if you know what I mean. Recently, I was helping a friend out. Let's call them Jamie. I was helping Jamie out. They wanted to know what to do about their crush. Now, with my mentality, I think like, if you don't go for something, it just won't ever happen, right? If you like somebody and you don't tell them that you like them, nothing is going to come about it, especially for her situation. So I just gave her the advice of, just go for it. Because if you don't, it's really never going to happen, especially because you don't talk to him that often. Well, you talk to him that often. You talk to him a lot. But he's not really getting that vibe from you. So if you don't tell him, he won't know. So on that note, even I myself am scared to talk to my crush. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. I compliment their outfit and they say thank you, and that's about it. But this is being recorded on the 16th, so Friday. I feel like on Tuesday when we get back to school, I would try and ask for like their Instagram or something like that. Because, one small step can lead to a large, you know what I mean. You know what I'm trying to say. But I feel like you hold yourself back thinking about the what ifs. Like, what if they reject me? What if they don't like me back? What if they, you know, and I feel like our brain starts to really, really deep dive into the what ifs because I feel like part of our brain is just wired to find being depressed an easier way to live. It doesn't require that much. But, your brain starts to go crazy with these what ifs. Like, what if they say ill? What if they, like, scream at me and, like, make fun of me and stuff like that? But realistically, that's not going to happen. Of course, I'm not saying it's impossible, but take my encounters for example. I could have complimented his outfit and he could have said ill and walked away, but he didn't. He said thank you. So take that and then apply that to what you want to do when it comes to talking to your crush, right? You say you could go maybe like, hey, you know, I've seen you around before, and I was wondering if I could get your Instagram. I've been looking for outfit inspiration, and I like your outfit, so I was wondering if I could get your Instagram. Something like that. And if it doesn't work out, they'll say, "No, thank you." I'll be dejected. Don't get it twisted. I'll definitely be like, dejected. I'll be like down and out, but it's not gonna be the end of like the known universe. You feel me? It's not gonna be the most horrible thing that's ever happened to me or ever will happen to me. Think about it like this. I feel like looking at it as a very black and white kind of situation really, really helps. Even though it's not always black and white, they sometimes be Mexican. Shout out Prada Bag Shawty. But looking at it from like a black and white point of view really helps you steal your nerves. Kind of deluding yourself, I guess you could say. Either they don't accept you talking to them and you go about your day, or they say yes and then you go about your day. It's really that simple. But your brain just wants to tweak out and make things seem worse than they are, and they're really not that bad. I feel like your chances of getting what you want are way higher once you start taking action, right? You take action, you start doing stuff, something is bound to happen. Maybe not what you're expecting, but something is bound to happen. And I get that you're nervous. Everybody's nervous when it comes to something, and that's okay. That's fine. But being stagnant for long periods of time really gets you nowhere at the end of the day. Like, the way I see it, you either change or you just stay as you are and don't become accustomed to the times. Like, you just have to know these things. You just have to know that staying the same isn't always the best thing. And that's okay. Change is okay. Even if it's not what you're expecting, if you just wait it out and deal with it and adapt, it can turn out to be something better for you. And even if it doesn't turn out to be something better for you, that's a learning experience on what not to do next time. You don't always have to make a decision and have a bad consequence and immediately have it affect you. You can manipulate that bad outcome to your advantage by learning from that and using that next time. I realized that, you know, I'm a hyper person. I don't seem like it, but when I'm texting or once I really get to know you in person, I'm a very hyper person. And not a lot of people like that. So I've learned to tone it down until I find out whether they're, hyper too, or just chill with me being hyper, or they're not. And if they're not, I don't really be hyper that much. And that's just how it goes. So you gotta realize that some change is good. Some change, while at first may be bad, can and will almost always turn out to be a learning experience. Now, learning experiences hurt. They definitely hurt. But I would rather have a painful learning experience than never know what to change in my life and still be the same weird, annoying kid from seventh grade. Because that was around the time when I first started to find out who I was, who I wanted to be. It would suck for me to be the same person I was from seventh grade. And obviously, I haven't completely changed from seventh grade. There's still parts of me that are here and are around me that I wish I could change, and I'm still working on changing. But what matters is I changed something about myself. I changed parts of myself since seventh grade. I'm not the same person overall anymore. But you really, really have to learn once sometime in life before you become an adult and you get sent out the house. You have to realize that you got to learn to take life by the horns and do what you need to do as long as you're not hurting yourself or other people, right? Do what needs to be done as long as it's legal and doesn't get you or other people hurt. You'll be fine. While I'm kind of on this rant of advice, I've had a friend for a really long time. Let's call them Bonnie, right? They have, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, they have a problem, right? They don't know how to tell people no. They're a pushover, for lack of a better word. Again, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. They're a pushover. They don't know how to tell people no. They're around people who don't care about them and couldn't care less about them. And overall, just want to have Bonnie around to have someone to be around. They don't care about Bonnie as a person or anything else. They're just worried about what Bonnie can provide them. Now, Bonnie is a loner, kind of like me, but they haven't come to terms with being a loner yet. Bonnie lets these people just walk all over her and treat her like trash, and she still treats them with respect, which is good, but it gets to a point. It's been like this for years, possibly before I even met her. And she talks to me about how much she hates them. She dislikes them to the utmost degree. But she doesn't stop talking to them or cut them off or even reprimand them for what they're doing because they're her only friends and she doesn't have anybody else if they were to leave. But I feel like you have to spend, to really become a good person, or at least a better person, you have to spend a fair amount of your life alone. Maybe not completely alone, maybe have one or two friends by your side, but those one or two friends have to be like the good people who will care about your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health. You get the gist. For me, being alone sends me into these like deep philosophical cycles like I'm in right now. I wouldn't call them philosophical, but you know what I mean. I have these moments where I feel like I know the answers to the entire universe and I know myself and I know every person on this planet on a deep emotional level. But obviously that's not true. Excuse me. Being alone can be very good for you as long as you don't overdose being alone. If you're alone for too long, you just end up awkward when you rehabilitate yourself into society. You have to balance between being alone and talking to people to keep up with the outside world. But I don't know where I was going to take that. Another thing I want to talk about is kind of with that same thing. People aren't going to take you seriously or what you say seriously if you don't take yourself seriously. It doesn't even have to be how you present yourself, but if you do not, like, if your inner brain doesn't treat yourself seriously, nobody's going to take you seriously. To use this as an example, let's talk about Class of '09. Class of '09 is one of the greatest games. Well, let me not overglaze. It has been one of my favorite games I've ever played. Right, obviously, Butterfly Soup is definitely up there, but Class of '09 is up there too. People don't take Class of '09 seriously, well, as seriously as I feel like they should in some parts, or what it talks about, or what it represents, because it doesn't take itself seriously. And that's no diss on the game. It's meant to be comedic and, funny, but it still talks about real stuff and emotional stuff, things that target your heart. Like in I think it's the original, when you get the ending where the book's puzzles pawn ending, if you've played Class of '09, where Nicole game resets herself, let's say that. And you get that message from Jekka saying, "Hey, I'm sorry." That hit me in my feels. I'm not gonna lie when I first played it. But besides that, there's definitely other emotional stuff that is talked about in the game that people don't mention purely because the game doesn't take itself seriously. And again, once again, I don't mean to repeat myself, but that's not a diss on the game. It's meant to be comedic. But this applies more to people. You can be spouting the most serious thing in the world. You could be talking about your feelings from the bottom of your heart, trying to express yourself. But if you do not take yourself seriously, like in Bonnie's case, those horrible, horrible friends are not going to take you seriously. They're going to laugh at you and make fun of you and call you names. And the list goes on because you don't take yourself serious. Michael Jackson once said, "It starts with the man in the mirror." And truer words have never been said. If you really do want to see a change, it starts with the man in the mirror, or a woman, or a person. We don't judge here. You have to first understand yourself and how you function, and then you can start to change. You can't change without knowing the base, right? It's like a science project. You can't change something without knowing what the control is, what it's supposed to look like. That's why I feel like it is a long process, definitely. Like back in seventh grade, I wouldn't be having these like philosophical conversations, right? But over the years, that's been since seventh grade, I've started to expand how I think, right? Excuse me. I've started to expand how I think, and that's affected me for the better. I feel like everyone should at least try to change something. Like on my goals, I want to buy a pair of Vivian Westwood Tuesday loafers. Both because I really, really like the shoe. They look amazing. And because it means I would have to change in some way before the end of the year comes. And that's influential. That means not influential. It's important because I don't want to end the year off being the same person I was who entered the year. Obviously, with how life goes and how events are, I wouldn't. But I want to majorly change in one way. And me being able to afford those shoes would mean I did majorly change in one way. And you just got to learn. People, one thing I kind of see floating around is people tell you to be yourself, but then go make fun of you when you be yourself. And while, yes, that's true, it's a valid argument, you're going to be made fun of anyway. Whether you be yourself or you try to be what society wants you to be, you are going to be made fun of by somebody, somewhere, sometime, somehow. So just do what you want to do with no shame and don't worry about anybody else. Because when you start to worry about somebody else, that's when you start to mess up. It's like a sports game, right? Like basketball. You have the ball, you're going down the court. If you just focus on you, you're gonna be fine. But you start looking, you have your head on a swivel, looking at all these other opponents, and you get overwhelmed and you drop the ball and you fumble, and now your team has the ball. That's your fault now. But if you just focus on yourself, there's nothing to really worry about. You'll be good. So, in all, I kind of want to wrap this up. I don't want this to be too long. Change is good. You can learn from bad experiences. Learn to stand for what you believe in, even if you think that'll lose you friends. And focus on you. You're going to be made fun of either way. Don't focus on them. Focus on you. Do what you need to do. Have fun in life. And you'll be happy. You'll be good. You'll be Gucci. You feel me? You'll be Gucci Kabuchi. But this has been See You at 6 on the emotional side. Catch you on the flip side. No class of '09. And I'll catch you guys later. See ya.